Ladies and gentlemen, never in between, welcome to Talking at 6. I'm your host, 1-6, aka Professor 6, aka Early Jonah Hill, aka Ask Me About My Winner, aka Abernathy Darwin Dunlap. Get it? AKA we could have a battle royale, aka the Forgotten Slacker Classic, aka a surprising lack of random cameos, aka Wet T-shirt party, aka basically a trade school, aka calling Bartleby Gaines to the main stage, aka Sherman Schrader shrugging off the haters, aka definitely not the new guy. In today's episode, I will be discussing / reviewing the 2006 slacker comedy film Accepted. Today's episode of Talking at 6 is brought to you by procrastination. Procrastination. For those times when you really, really need to get something done, but you don't feel like doing it. So, yeah. Procrastination. It makes life a lot harder. And speaking of the topic of procrastination, thank you for being our sponsor this week, by the way. But speaking of the topic of procrastination, the movie Accepted. For those of you who haven't seen the film, who've never seen the film, or just haven't seen the film in a long time, Accepted follows the life of Bartleby Gaines, a high school senior, during his last couple days of high school. It's kind of weird. Basically it's his transition from high school to college. And I'll get more. But basically, yeah, he tries to get into college, doesn't get in, he doesn't accept it to any of the schools he applied to. Him and his friends get rejected by the schools they apply to, and they don't know what they're going to do with their lives. Eventually, from pressure, he just decides to make up a fake school and make a fake acceptance letter to get his parents off his back for a while he tries to figure out his life, or he tries to figure out what he's going to do since he didn't get accepted anywhere. And then eventually it turns into his parents, him having to create a fake college, a full fake college to get his parents off his back, and while doing so, in the process of doing so, he has his friend Sherman Schrader make a fake website for the school, He's like, tell him to make it look good. He made it actually functional, so other people actually end up applying to finding it, applying to the school and getting accepted to it. So they then have to pretend to be a school to try to help out the other people who didn't get accepted anywhere else because they feel bad for them and realize they're not the only ones that didn't get into their dream school, that don't really know what they want to do with their life. So eventually they make a fake school, and all the students, where the students are the teachers, and pretty much just learn whatever you want. Basically, long and short of it, it's pretty much just a trade school. It's you learn how to do just real world things without the crazy college breakdown of a bunch of information thrown at you at once. It's literally these guys want to learn, essentially they learn physics by building a giant half pipe. It's just these two skater dudes. It's oh yeah, they want to learn more about skating, so they build a giant half pipe and then essentially use that to discuss, to study science, basically. In the long run, it starts off as a bunch of stupid things making any sense, but eventually you realize people actually are really learning important life lessons. They're learning actual valuable information that can help them get careers. They're essentially not, I want to say it's on the same level as going to actual college, but it's in a similar vein of, okay, well, you're learning the same concept, you're just learning it a different way, aka it's a trade school. You're learning by doing, instead of just staring in a book all day and having someone taught you how to basically writing papers on how to do something. You're getting the actual real world experience. But it's all played for laughs, and it's kind of seen as oh yeah, it's a concept that makes no sense whatsoever. In reality, it's yeah, first time I saw this movie, it's oh dude, that'd be great, that'd be the best idea ever. Make your own college. I mean, it's so awesome. It's it's nothing like a real school, but it's it is. It's just, how do I? It's the option that's never shown. You know, it's I'm not to get political about it, but college is a scam, man. No, I'm wrong. Higher learning is a good thing, and advanced education, learning more is a thing. But the fact that paying for college seems stupid, and most colleges seem book learning. You can't learn everything from a book. Some things need to be hands on, and I feel that's never seen as an option. When I was in high school, they kind of talked about the trade union being a thing, joining a trade union, learning a trade. They kind of talked about it, but more teachers kind of just pushed the whole go to college thing, go to get a degree. But it's dude, you can do let's be real, plumbers, electricians, what's another, carpenters, all jobs that make bank. They get looked down upon. It's oh, you're working with your hands all day. It's oh, blah blah. It's oh, plumbers, plumbers are jokes and everything. Whole plumber crack things. Plumbers may be out to be a joke, but plumbers make bank, dog. Like, yeah, sure, they have to deal with like people's pipes and like cleaning out pipes and like doing disgusting stuff. But it's like it's not all that. It's a lot of it's like, oh, new building gets built. Guess what? Somebody has to put the pipes in. A new house gets built. Someone has to put pipes in. Oh, your house is being renovated. You're redoing your kitchen. Someone has to come do the plumbing. Like someone has to come do the electricity. Someone has to hang drywall. Like all these like blue collar jobs that are kind of like frowned upon because you're not you're not like you're out getting dirty and you're working with your hands and you're not sitting on a cushy like in a cushy job at an office. But like in reality, those jobs make fucking bank, bro. Like welders. Welding, you realize how important welding, how much shit is welded in this country? Like anything, pretty much anything made out of metal is welded in some way, shape, or form, and you can make bank doing that shit. Like honestly, like blue collar jobs like get frowned upon, but they make bank and they're like actually functional things. Like they're not saying okay, not say office jobs are functional, but like they're useful skills beyond the point of just yeah, like just beyond like it's less of a status, less of a flex, it's less of a status symbol, but more of a like, hey, guess what? I'm actually useful, It's like I get that gets brought up a lot. It's like, oh, the apocalypse. People like an accountant. Who's gonna need an accountant when the world collapses? It's like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying there's not a place for those things. I'm not saying both can exist. They can. I'm saying these things can coexist. I'm just saying like, show both options. Like, teach kids that there's more than one option. That like college isn't the only fucking route to go. I just kind of hate that. Like that was like always seen as like you pretty much just like saying if you don't go to college, you're gonna be miserable in life, and like that's bullshit. Like I don't agree with that in any way. Like you don't have to go to college to be happy. Yes, some form of advanced education like would be good. Some form of like learning some kind of skill, some kind of trade, or just like a different avenue, something career field that you want to go into is highly recommended. But at the same time, you don't have to go. You don't have to go to a traditional 4-year university. You don't have to go to an actual college. You don't have to go to a college to learn these things. I feel like that point kind of gets him. It's kind of like the underlying point. Like it's the point of this movie. It's kind of like he goes. Bartleby goes to like actual Harmon. He goes to Harmon Institute, the actual school. Like, and he sits in a class. He's like, kind of exploring and just kind of see what the difference between that school and his school is, and what the real college experience is. And then like he gets there, and it's like these people, like all the students are unhappy. They're all stressed out and freaked out, and like trying to just like they're completely stressed out and just trying to copy down, write down anything the professor says. They have no idea if it's going to be on the test. And it's like it's things that don't even pertain to what they're learning. It's like to the subject they're trying to study, and it's like, or it's like he talks to this, I forgot her name, but like the love interest in the movie, like he talks to her, and like she wants to study photography, but like the photography class she would have took wouldn't count to a degree in photography or something like that. And it's like something stupid where it's like this class that teaches the thing you want to learn doesn't work with the degree you want to learn. That's the same degree that should count to that degree, but it doesn't. It's like, what? How does that make any sense? It's like I don't know. Just you just deal with it, you just accept it. And it's like, man, college is about making money. At the end of the day, it's like, yeah, sure, some higher learning takes place, but more about them getting paid than it is about you actually learning anything. It's kind of like prison. Like prisons don't reform criminals. Prisons just make better criminals. You go in from one low level crime, you come out learning something completely different. I'm not about to go into that. I'm not fully going into that, but poor profit prisons are stupid. Prisons don't fucking help anyone. Prisons in America. So that's why American prison system doesn't help anyone ever. It just makes you a better criminal. So unless you want to be a better criminal, then I guess it helps in that way, but that ain't really got shit to do with the topic or the movie. Back to Accept It. Like, basically, it's like Justin Long plays the main character. He plays Bartleby Gaines. And Justin Long plays, like, he's really great at playing, like, the everyman, like, the super average, like almost like how Luke Wilson in Idiocracy is supposed to be like, oh yeah, his character is like so middle of the road on everything that he's so like generic, just general like middle ground guy that he's so average that he was perfectly like experienced. It's kind of like what Justin Long plays in this movie. Like kind of like the character. It's kind of almost the same character, but it's not. Like it's slightly different, but it's almost like yeah, Justin Long's like super average guy in almost everything he's in. Like he's even in except for he's in Idiocracy, he's not a major role in that, but he's a doctor and like he's hilarious. Like Justin Long as a doctor in Idiocracy was pretty fucking hilarious. He nailed that shit. But also like this movie kind of like Accept It kind of reminds me of another movie he was in, Waiting. I don't know if you ever seen Waiting. Don't. It's not really worth it. Like it has a couple. It has like you can just look up the parts you need from YouTube. Do not sit to that movie. And whatever you do, if you do for some reason watch Waiting, do not watch the sequel. Still Waiting, because it has first off the sequel straight to DVD. It has like it has most of the characters from the first one in it, but none of the major actors. Like, it still has Justin Long, it still has Andy Milonakis, it still has like everybody else. It doesn't have Ryan Reynolds or Anna Faris, who were like the biggest names in the first one, and the second one doesn't have either one of them. And like honestly, I hate to say it suffers by not having them, but it kind of does. Like I mean, even with them, the first one's not that great. Like it's not really, it's kind of meh. It's one of those things where like if you watch it, you catch it on late night Comedy Central, go ahead and watch it. You'll get a couple laughs out of it, but do not go out of your way to watch that movie, and don't bother with the sequel because it's absolutely not worth it in any way. It's honestly pretty fucking horrible. Like I watched both of them back to back one night. I was like, I kind of liked Waiting. I'll watch it, and I haven't seen Still Waiting, so I'll watch Waiting. It made me laugh, and I'll watch Still Waiting, and it's like, oh my god, Still Waiting is so bad. Like they try to do all these like callbacks to things from the first movie, but it's just like they just don't work because they barely worked in the first one. Point I'm getting at is Justin Long's character in Accepted could be like the prequel to his character in Waiting. It's almost like he plays almost the exact same character. It's like the guy that doesn't really know what he wants to do with his life, but he know he wants more. It's like in Accepted, he knows like his dad's constantly telling him the only way to get anywhere in life is to go to college. Telling him he has to go to college. It's the only way he'll get anywhere in life. The only way to get the only way to get a good job. Which once again, already established it, but I don't agree with that mind state. But anyway, it's kind of like that's it because he knows he has to go to college. He knows he should go to college, but he doesn't know what he wants to study in college. And he almost kind of doesn't want to go, or doesn't know if he should go, or doesn't know if he actually college is what he actually wants to do. And he's like he doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. That's Accepted. In Waiting, it's basically the same character. Like he's working at the restaurant. He knows he doesn't want to be a server his whole life. He's like kind of burnt out on it. He wants to do something more, but he doesn't know what to do. He's trying to like look for an answer, but no one has an answer, and it's just like yeah, I'm wrong. It's kind of annoying. Oh, woe was me, guys. Like, dude, shut up. Like, you got a job. I don't know. Find a fucking hobby. It's like at the end of Waiting, the new guy who they like haven't let him talk, or they finally snaps on everybody, and he goes off him. He's like, when? I don't want to do. I don't know what I want to do with my life. Join a fucking army or something. Jeez, it's so great. Like honestly, I know I said don't watch Waiting, but like. Look up clips on Waiting. Look up Mitch snapping, or like the new guy from Waiting. The ending scene, the ending clip of that movie where the new guy just goes through and rips every character that works in that restaurant a new one because they're all like super full of themselves and just giant jerks, but they all think they're awesome. And he just completely shreds everyone, and it's hilarious, man. Great moment. Great moment from Waiting. But yeah, like Justin Long is like really like I already said it, like he's the great every guy. He's almost like you're saying like how Ryan Reynolds in there, like when Ryan Reynolds in a romantic comedy is supposed to be playing like, oh yeah, the average normal guy who's just the guy next door. He's just kind of nerdy, but he's still kind of cool, but he's kind of no one knows. It was like no, like Ryan Reynolds. Let's be honest. Ryan Reynolds is an extremely attractive man. He too attractive to be playing that role. All right, he cannot play the everyman. He's Ryan Reynolds. He does not look. He's not average in any way. All right, he is not an average man. Not an looking man. He doesn't have the average charisma. He is great. Justin Long, on the other hand, fits better. Like visually, no offense to Justin Long, but visually he's pretty average looking. He looks like the dude next door. I got a homie that looks similar to him. Maybe I'm the only one that thinks that. I won't say who he is because I don't want to be called out on it. But he kind of gives me a Justin Long vibe. Not a bad thing, not a good thing. Just kind of it's just there. Kind of Justin Long vibe. He cool though, you know. But yeah, like honestly, it's like if you turn down Ryan Reynolds slightly, you get Justin Long. He's not a bad actor. He's not like, but also like, I haven't been blown away by anything I've seen him in. Like, I'm not necessarily haven't been blown away. I haven't been blown by his performance in anything. He was in what was it? Live Free or Die Hard, and it's like, he's okay. He didn't really like. There's nothing like. He didn't necessarily do anything memorable. Live Free or Die Hard's a dope movie. It's a Die Hard movie. It's Bruce Willis. He launches a cop car helicopter at one point. That part's awesome. But yeah, like overall, Justin Long in the movie's kind of forgettable, but he's not bad. Point I'm getting at is Justin Long isn't DJ Qualls. DJ Qualls is amazing, and I've said it before, and I'm gonna say it again. If there's ever a movie made about my life, I want DJ Qualls to play me because like he's great. Like I just relate to DJ Qualls. DJ Qualls is like he's like the loser average guy next door who like becomes like who's so lovable. Like he's so how to put this? Like I don't want to say pathetic. Like I want to say like I don't want to down. Like I say like I make it sound like I don't like DJ Qualls. I love DJ Qualls. He's amazing. Like and the new guy like He's so great in that movie. He's like just like trying to get by. Just like the super nerdy guy, just terrible. And then like he comes back and he's super cool and everybody loves him. Just like no one questioning it. He's like awesome. He has all this charisma. And it's like, dude, DJ Qualls pulled that role perfectly. Like you could try to put Justin Long in that, but he wouldn't. I feel like he wouldn't pull off the extremes. Like he wouldn't pull off the super nerd. Like he could. He could pull off the super nerdy. He wouldn't be able to pull off the super nerdy or like the super cool guy to the extreme. Like he could play the middle ground. Like towards the end where like he DJ Qualls, what's his name? Dizzy. When he has to come clean about like who he really is, and he's kinda like he's not Gil anymore, but he's not fully nerdy as he was in the beginning of the movie. He's kinda that middle ground where everybody likes him, but they're trying to figure out who he really is. And it's like Justin Long could have played that part. But all the other parts had to be DJ Qualls, man. Like that's what I'm really saying. We're really getting to at the point. The point I'm really getting at with this is, man, I really love the new guy. Like it's a great movie. Like it's hilarious. Eddie Griffin's great in it, man. The music's dope. What's her name? Zoe Deschanel is in it. Didn't realize that until like years later. I watched New Girl and I was like, oh, that was her and the new guy. She's funny in that movie. That's great. Uh, Vanilla Ice is in it. Vanilla Ice is in it. Jermaine Dupri is in it. Like, there's so many cameos. That's the point I'm getting at. The new guy has a lot of cameos. Tony Hawk is in it. Like, Tony Hawk is at a high school football game for some reason in that movie. He's also at the party with the cool girl's party because she somehow knows Tony Hawk for some reason. Like, the high school girl is friends with Tony Hawk. We ain't gonna look too far into that. All right, it was a slacker comedy. It was a funny cameo. They're there. Speaking of which, except it has like no cameos. Like Lewis Black is in it. He's like the biggest name in the movie. Like he's the biggest name, but he's also like part of the main cast. He's like the biggest name in that entire movie. And not once again, not dissing Lewis Black, just saying like usually with these movies you have some like really random celebrity cameos. Like look at the new guy. You had Vanilla Ice working at a record store. You had Eddie Griffin. Okay, Eddie Griffin was a character, but yeah, Jermaine Dupri was like a prison guard, like the prison transport guard. You got Tony Hawk showing up at the party and then showing up at the football game for no reason. Like, and not even like, it was like, oh, he's playing a character. Like, Tony Hawk was there as Tony Hawk. He was there as himself. And even then, it was still kind of just downplayed. It was like, yeah, I mean, sure, it's Tony Hawk, but like, no one really cared. Like, there's no hype around him. There's no buzz around him. No one really cared about him as a celebrity, which is kind of funny because Tony Hawk's Tony Hawk's a respectable dude. You know, he's decently well known celebrity, like respected name, but it's just like funny that like what I'm getting at is celebrity cameos and slacker comedies are usually a thing. And so the fact that except it had none, it didn't really have any major names. Like Jonah Hill's in it, but this is before Superbad. This is before Jonah Hill like really blew, where Jonah Hill was a big star. I guess technically this movie was like trying to push, was like one of the movies trying to push Justin Long. And I feel like he got to like a D. I don't feel like Justin Long ever got to full A-list level. But like, he got to like decent notoriety, like where you can recognize his face, you recognize the name, you know him if you saw him in a movie. But at the same time, he's never like really the full selling point of a movie. You know what I mean? Like you're never gonna fully sell a movie on just Justin Long. And I feel like this movie tried to do that. It was really pushing that, but it didn't fully get there. Like except it's an overall decent movie. I recommend checking it out. Go ahead, like watch it. You'll laugh. You'll enjoy it. It'll make you retrospect about your life and think back about I don't know, high school, college era, what happened, but yeah, like it's, I don't know, it's like one of those things where like it's weird because it's almost middle ground. Like it's a PG-13 comedy, like it's a PG-13 slacker comedy. And if like, you're gonna go slacker comedy, you gotta either go full R, you gotta go hard R and push the envelope to go almost too far, or if you're going PG-13, you're going like really, you're no offense, but you're kind of gonna dumb it down and go almost like you're gonna go like fart jokes, like you're gonna go younger kid audience to get them in there, but like they go PG-13 and then try to aim for like the teen audience, the older teen audience doesn't really work. Like the concept of like going to college is like a higher, like an older kid thing. It's like an older teenager thing. It's like oh yeah, it's like but like you're trying to. It's like I don't know. I feel like it didn't go hard enough into the comedy aspect of it. It was more of the like you don't know what to do with your life. You're not alone thing. Like I don't know. It's almost like it came out in '06, so it's like that's like the slacker comedy like era was like dying down, or as like it was like you were either going super like that was like Borat era where you went like way too far with comedy to the point where like you either went all in and way too far and you were really funny, or you tanked horribly, or you held back and kind of didn't go as far and didn't like get as big because it wasn't as funny because it wasn't as edgy. Like in that era, like edgy comedy was what went what so like being too far. Like Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny was around that area. Like that movie has some moments where like it goes really, really stupid and really far sometimes. Well, yeah, it goes really far sometimes. It's like pretty stupid, but it's funny and it works and it's great. Also, you gotta get a credit to Jack. You gotta give some credit to Jack Black for that. Jack Black's hilarious. He's really great in that movie. So you can't disrespect him in it. Also, like this movie had Jonah Hill, which like I feel like Jonah Hill. Okay, yeah, it's clearly before Superbad, so Jonah Hill wasn't a household name yet. He wasn't like super. He wasn't as famous as he is now. He wasn't that as big a deal back then. But like Jonah Hill's really funny, and he like does like he's really great as a character. Like Sherman Schrader, he does really well as a character. It's almost like he's like underplayed. Like he's there just to be like the straight man almost. Like he's there, but he's also like he's like played as like the straight man. He's the one that's like against the idea and constantly remind him like how this is a bad idea and we're gonna go to prison. This is really not a good move. But also like he's really like funny and sarcastic and has a lot of great lines at the same time. But it's also like it's almost like you're not supposed to laugh at him. Like he's not supposed to. Like you're not supposed to enjoy the things he says. Almost like not like you're supposed to hate the character, but almost like he's seen as like the buzzkill. Even though like he has like some of the best delivery in that movie, he's like, like he has some like top notch sarcasm, dude. Like at the end of the movie, like he's end up the class he's teaching is skepticism, and it's just like, dude, just round of applause for Jonah, man. Just great guy, great in that movie. But honestly, like this movie has like a lot of the '80s teen movie vibe, where it's almost like the goal was like almost kind of reminds me of like that '70s show where like the goal was just like to go out, listen to music, and drink beer. Like there wasn't a, it wasn't like a we're gonna burn the block. Like it wasn't a how do I put this? It's kind of like how Dazed and Confused, like they were just riding around and chilling. Like they just went to a park and like had a keg of beer and everybody's like smoking and just having a good time and relaxing and super chill. It wasn't the super intense like this party has to be insane like honestly, I keep bringing it up, but like super bad, like the super bad vibe was like the party was like they were trying so hard to get everybody's just trying to get wasted, and this party's gonna be extreme, and it's like it wasn't that. Like back then, it was like the '80s vibe is less that and less more just the like we're gonna chill, we're gonna have a good time, we're gonna get out of the house, we're gonna get away from our parents, we're gonna like you know get to a place where we can just relax. We don't have anyone hassling us, telling us what to do or what to wear, like how to feel. We don't have any authority figures around, so we can just relax and be ourselves and just have a good time and try to enjoy the moment. I feel like that's a lot of what a lot of what this movie was. It was like, yo, like a lot of them were like, this is their first time out of the house. You're going off to college. You're moving away from home. You're out of your parents' control. You're finally an adult. You can do what you want. And I feel like a lot of this movie, like a lot of what this movie dealt with was that freedom of being able to do whatever you want. And how do you handle that? Like, how do you deal with that? And like it was showing when like Bartleby's like his quote dorm room that he made, like this had a giant TV in it and they were playing video games. Like they weren't like really like doing anything crazy. Like they stayed like they cleaned up an old mental hospital, made a fake dorm room in it, and then hung out there. Like, granted, like, yeah, where else would they have gone? But, like, they could have gone anywhere. Like, they had the freedom, they had the money. They could have, like, he was supposed to be at college. All he had to do was, like, not be anywhere where his parents would go, and he could have, like, went. But he stayed and hung out there. Also, the question that I feel like never gets answered, never gets brought up, no one ever talks about, like, the building they're in is foreclosed. It's been abandoned for a while. How does it have working electricity? Like at one point they have like I know they have like the pool outside and like you also made a question of like how does this building have running water? But why does that building have working electricity in order to like power the lights and like the sound system that's still in there? Also, why did that place have like or working all this or not just working on some electricity? Why did it still have a sound system in there with microphones and like the speakers to make for them to make the speech? Like why did it have any of that stuff? This old abandoned building, why wasn't any of the equipment cleaned out of it? Like I get it, you're looking too far into it, but like honestly, like it should have like been a lot worse than it was. Like sure, they found like that skeleton in the ceiling that was in a straitjacket, and like everything's all dusty and dirty and covered in cobwebs and old. But like once again, why was the not only did the kitchen equipment work when Glenn was in there, it's like Glenn trying to figure out how to cook in the kitchen. The equipment was still there. Why were there still stoves there? Like that's the type of like when a building forecloses, a business closes down, you get that stuff out. Like, you sell that stuff because you can make money on it. Or even if you can't sell it, you put it in a store somewhere. You don't just leave it in the building. Like, none of that stuff will still be there. Like, the beds and stuff in that facility wouldn't still be there. Like, none of the furniture that was there when they went in, when they first moved in, should still be in that building. And I feel like, I don't know, like, granted, it's, that's a stupid plot hole to point, that's a stupid point to point a hole in, like, that has nothing to do with the plot of the movie, but, like, it kind of does. Like, you establish the fact that this building has been abandoned, it's an old abandoned hospital, and no one's been here for, like, years. Why is there anything still in there? And I know that's me overlooking things, me going way too far, digging way too deep in a topic that no one cares about in a movie, for a plot point of a movie that no one, for not even a plot point, for a point in a movie that no one thought about and it's completely unnecessary. But speaking of overthinking and unnecessary, this movie, like, I don't know how many days this movie shot, but they used, I don't know, this movie either shot really quick or they just brought the same extras back a lot. Because there's this one chick with like this giant red mohawk that's in like half of the group shots in the movie. Like almost any time there's a group shot in this movie, you can find her in it. Like you can just look for her. Giant mohawk sticks out so much. It's like almost every group shot. Like the one where when he's first giving a speech and everybody's there and he's trying to explain, he's trying to tell everybody it's a fake school, but like they tell him how they've never been accepted anywhere, and the first time they felt great, and it's like the first time their parents told them they were proud of them, they were all happy to be there. Pretty sure she's in that shot. She's definitely in the scene where during Parents' Day, when the parents show up and when everybody's parents shows up and they're taking them home, they find out the school's fake. She's in that one. She's in the one with in the courtroom at the accreditation board, and I'm pretty sure she's at the part when they're having a party and singing Blitzkrieg Bop. He sings Blitzkrieg Bop, which gotta give him points for that one, man. That was okay. Was it the greatest performance? No. Was it absolutely trash? Never do it again? Nah. It was passable. It was usable. It was movie friendly. It was pretty entertaining. It was okay. It wasn't. It didn't make my ears bleed. It didn't make me hate Justin Long and or the Ramones. So it was decent. But yeah, pretty sure she's in that scene too. Point I'm getting at is, like, movie extra, you're gonna be an extra in a movie. You should probably be like as low key as possible. Like, you're supposed to look like blend in with the crowd and not stand out too much. But I feel like they got the one extra that stands out a lot. It's like, all right, fine, put her in as many scenes as possible. It was so stupid. It was so stupid. But then, like, also, I feel like another thing, kind of underrated performance, Joe Louis Black. Like, not his comedics, like his comedics are fine. He was played up behind. It's like his like rants about the school system, about just like educational system in America, and about college in general, and like how like he starts off giving a small lecture and it slowly gets bigger and bigger, and then like by the end of it, like the last class, like his class is sitting on like the half pipe, and it's like half the people that are at the school just sitting on his half pipe. Also, and he listened to him lecture about like how like, oh yeah, the college system and how America's all fucked up and how like how like health insurance doesn't really pay for anything and like it's all a scam and how we're all getting screwed. But also they never talked about it. What did they do with all that money? Like everybody there paid $10,000. They had like they stopped counting after the first 100 checks. It was like they had like $1 million. Was the first 100 checks 10,000? Yeah. Anyway, somehow they had over $1 million. What did they do with all that money? And also, when the accreditation board shut them down, like, was no one outraged that, like, they lost 10 stacks? Like, they were more disappointed that, oh, man, this really cool school we love got shut. They weren't mad that they found out the school was fake. No one was mad when they found out the school was fake. They were more mad. They were more just disappointed that it got shut down. They were more sad that they had to go back home and go back living with their parents and everything was fake. Like, least realistic part of this movie. People would have been outraged. I gave you 10 grand and you tell me this place ain't real. Somebody catching these hands, man. Like, somebody catching hands on the spot. They showed up to the accreditation meeting to get the school accredited so they can go back. You're damn right I'm going back. Either I'm getting credits or you giving me my money back. Alright? I ain't playing that shit. Somebody gonna catch these hands. Somebody gonna give me my money back or I'm swinging. Alright? But yeah, that shit was funny. And then, once again, it doesn't make sense at the end when it gets accredited and they let them go back. Did they like renovate the building some more? Did the like state actually help them fix up the building to get it up to code? Because I'm pretty sure that building was never up to code for like living standards. Also, it definitely was not big enough for all the people that are there. Like they said, over 100 checks. There's no way in hell that building was big enough to hold 100 people. Like 100, there's no way they cleaned out enough place for 100 dorm rooms in that building. There's just no way that place was big enough. Like. And once again, I know these are things that why would you poke holes in this? Why are you having into this plot? That wasn't the point of the movie. It's like no, but it's like these are logical things. These are logistical errors in this movie that you should really like point out. Like not point out, but like some of these things to be answered. Not saying like, oh, you need a full scene of like everything needs a detailed explanation, but like it's like the slightest, just maybe a little hint of, oh yeah, here's the new dorm building we had added on, or like here's the more space we got built, or something like something to kind of clear that out, kind of point out that like they even made a mascot for the schools. Like, why do you have a mascot when you don't have any sports teams? Also, if you're a fake school, why would you make your own why would you make a mascot like you're going to actually interact with any other school? You're trying to keep this thing low key. Why are you like drumming up so much interest in yourself? I guess you gotta support your idea no matter what, Yeah, you don't back yourself, who gonna back you, Yeah. I don't know, man. I got super off topic there. I don't even remember half of what I said. Point I'm getting at is overall accepted is a decent slacker comedy. Like, it's not one of the great. It's not the greatest, but it's a decent one. It's definitely watchable. I recommend checking it out. If you haven't seen it in a while, or if you've never seen it, I recommend checking it out, giving it a watch. You'll get a couple laughs out of it. It could be better. It could be worse. And honestly, I'm gonna review some better slacker comedies down the line because slacker comedies are like action movies and slacker comedies. Slacker comedies are one of my favorite movie genres, and I feel like it's extremely underrated. And we haven't had a really good one in years because they kind of went the line of like it went from like the slacker like college dropout like high school kid college thing to more like the stoner movies, straight up stoner movies like the Seth Rogen era stoner movies, and then even those kind of died down when they didn't hit as hard as they used. They weren't hitting as hard as they used to, but I feel like it's almost like you need new material. You can't recycle the same jokes. You can't just like keep dumbing it down, but you're also running out of like topics. You can't just keep doing like, oh, what if we took this thing? It's kind of like, I hate to say it, but what's his name? Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, like, great in Talladega Nights. Step Brothers, I'm okay. I haven't seen all of it, so I can't really comment on it. It's like, it wasn't bad. It wasn't necessarily my cup of tea. Like, the whole, like, man-child thing, like, wow, no, man, child's a gray area for me. It's a weird thing, but like I heard Sherlock and Holmes, no Holmes and sorry, not Sherlock Holmes, Sherlock Holmes, Holmes and Watson, where Will Ferrell Sherlock Holmes and John C. Reilly's Watson or whichever way around. I heard that movie was terrible, and I gotta say, like when I saw the trailer for it, I was like, okay, this isn't gonna be good. Like I didn't have high hopes for that because like you can't just take those two. Like those two actors are hilarious together, and they bounce off each other well, and they're funny. Like in Talladega Nights, they were great. But you can't just take that chemistry and put it on and just throw it at anything. Like, Sherlock Holmes, it'll be hilarious. Like, it doesn't work that way. It's like, you can't just take Seth Rogen and James Franco and throw them at any topic and instantly great comedy. So we'll just take them, we'll take a random concept, and we'll put them in it with weed, and it'll be hilarious. And it's like, that's not really how that works. And I feel like that's kind of why that genre of movie, like, died off, because it's not that simple. Like, there is, like, some complications. It's a lot more complicated than you expect it to be. But, like, when it hits right, it's great. So anyway, I'm right. Long story short, extremely long, rambly, pointless story short. I like Accepted. You should watch Accepted. I like slacker movies. Accepted isn't the best slacker movie, but it is a slacker movie and it's decent. But yeah, I just want to say. But also, yeah. Fuck. But anyway, thanks for checking out the episode, guys. Sorry for like such a long gap between episodes. It's motivation's been like way down. Just haven't really been feeling like it. But I'm definitely keeping it moving. Podcast isn't dead. There are more episodes coming. There's gonna be more episodes coming. There won't be this long a gap between them. Definitely gonna pick up the pace and get some more episodes out to you guys. But thanks for listening. Thanks for checking us out. Do me a favor, check out the other episodes. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell your friends. Feel free to share on social media. Follow me on Twitter at TalkThat6. And remember, I might not be the greatest, I might not be shit, but I will always talk that 6.